Hello, kia ora, I'm Philip Duncan, and thanks for joining us for our Wednesday update recorded on the 25th of September. High pressure is briefly over us, and it's gone by basically tomorrow as the next big cold front comes in. The good news for those who want more high pressure, more is on the way, coming through this weekend and for the start of next week. Great start to the school holidays. So let's get into the forecast. Here we are as we go in towards tonight. High pressure is parked here to the north of New Zealand, and to the south of us, here is this storm. Low air pressure too, about 940 something hectopascals. So you've got this big low to the south, solid high to the north, and in between, you've got the squash zone, the windy weather. So this weather coming down is subtropical to some degree, also coming out of Australia. So warmer weather in front of the cold front. Behind it, wintry weather conditions return for a time in the south of the country as we get towards the end of the week. Light winds for most places today, still a bit of a southwesterly breeze from places like Auckland to Taranaki, through Cook Strait, a nor'wester or northerly, and then you've got this northeasterly breeze hugging the South Island's eastern coastline, but clearly that is the main front coming through here. So as we go into tonight, plenty of cloud along the western side of the country, but this is the main rain band. So let's animate the next 24 hours. You'll see that rain move in, a bit of snow, and then some heavier falls as that system moves northwards. So by the time we get to tomorrow night, that front is weakening as it moves up towards about Cook Strait. Got some snow flurries behind it, mostly around the mountains and ranges, and maybe some of the ski fields around Queenstown. And we also have some wet weather coming into the eastern side of the country. Not a huge amount, but I know Canterbury and further up the road in Hawke's Bay, it is getting drier. And we've got a couple of showers for the western side of the North Island. This is the bigger picture. You can see that front coming through. This is for overnight tonight, 2 o'clock in the morning. So let's animate the next 48 hours. You'll see this front move up the country and into the North Island on Friday and weakens as it does so. It's running into high pressure, both to the northeast of us and this other big high coming out of Australia. So that line of rain and showers is kind of stuck between the two. So the timing of it may still change. It only takes the high pressure zones to move a little bit or breathe out a little bit. They get larger sometimes and they shrink a little bit. That controls the movement of that front. So timing does look as though it does clear away at this stage by the early hours of Saturday morning. And then we've got this high coming in behind it. So let's break that down. Here is lunchtime Thursday. The high sitting to the north of New Zealand and the storm sitting to the south. It says 953, but if you zoom in, that air pressure drops even further. So most of the damaging winds from that storm are well away from New Zealand. They're down here over the Southern Ocean. But we've got windy weather as well between the high and the low, and that creates a squash zone right here over the top half of the South Island and the lower part of the North Island, what some people might call classic spring weather. So those strong winds come through ahead of that front, and to the top of the country, subtropical winds means it's not too cold. Temperatures tomorrow are above average across much of the North Island. You're seeing temperatures up here getting around 20 degrees. Similar story around the northeastern corner and eastern sides and all the way down to Canterbury. So that warmer airflow certainly is ahead of the front. But like I say, this is a cold front. And we are going to be seeing winter conditions returning to some parts on Friday. Don't get too alarmed. I don't mean whiteout conditions and roads everywhere being closed, but there will be some snow through the mountains and touching the alpine passes. So there is some possibility of some problems there. And also wintry weather in the sense of temperatures down, showery weather, snow flurries on the mountains. It's going to be colder and inland areas, single digit daytime highs. At the other end of the country, the front comes through on Friday. It'll be a mixture of drizzly patches, some light showers, and then the odd heavier fall as well. But generally speaking, 5 to 10 millimetres coming through from that front as it moves in, and hopefully a little bit more for those in the east, but I don't think it will be. I think you're only going to see about a few millimetres, maybe 5, 6, 7. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully you get a bit more in some of those eastern spots. But by Saturday, that whole system's pretty much gone. The southern part of it, the colder part of it, I should say, is now moving out around the Chatham Islands, the southerly airflow, and now we're starting to see more of a westerly out of Australia returning on Saturday. So it's still going to be colder or cooler for those in the South Island, but the temperatures should start to lift up a little bit on Saturday. Cooler airflows remain around the eastern side of the North Island, and if you live in Hamilton or Auckland or New Plymouth, those southwesterly winds return, and that brings in some cloud, and the pale blue here means just the risk of a shower. We often associate high pressure with beautiful sunny weather. That does happen in some places, but our mountains and ranges hold up the cloud, especially at this time of the year. Usually in summer, high pressure zones are much sunnier, but at this time of the year, they still have some cloud and showers. So it may not be sunny for everyone on Saturday, but it should be drier. And on Sunday, still a couple of remaining isolated showers here and there, but otherwise mostly dry. And we're caught up in what I call a classic spring setup, where you have that southwesterly wind blowing. And that's really what we've got here on Sunday, a little bit stronger through the Southern Alps and through the South Island. And then Monday next week, high pressure over the top of the country. We've got the windier westerlies, the southern part of New Zealand, and warmer subtropical breezes coming down. So again, spring style, we have cold southerly one day talking about snow, and then a couple of days later, it's all about the subtropical winds returning again. So to Tuesday of next week, this is our final map of today's forecast. The high drifting further to the east, still dragging down that subtropical airflow. So next week, the school holes are kicking off with sunny or dry weather, and those winds are easing back as we go into the start of the week. Monday might be a bit windy like the weekend, but certainly Tuesday is looking calmer. But look, there's still storms down here in the Southern Ocean, 960, 978 hectopascals. Those are still what we would call storms technically, and low air pressure, strong winds around them and gale force winds. The air pressure is so low down here at the moment that these don't actually look as dramatic as they normally would. Normally a storm that's 978 would really stand out, but because the air pressure is so low down here, it doesn't really jump out as much. But that's the reason why we're seeing the windy weather in between the highs and these deep lows at the moment. And there's no immediate sign of this all easing. So I think October is going to be kicking off very much the same way that September is leaving us. That's all from me for today. See you again tomorrow with our next update.